Hi, David Fetter, Executive Editor Technical for the Prepared Foods Network, welcoming you to another Prepared Foods video podcast. Today, we're going to talk about the perennial #1 favorite flavor in the world, chocolate. Our expert is none other than Daniel Herskovic. He's owner and chief chocolatier of Mayana Chocolate. Now, in full disclosure, Chef Daniel also happens to be my brother-in-law, but this is not as nepotistic as it seems. As you see, our topic is taking advantage of the versatility of chocolate and using it in everything from the usual candies, pastries, and confections to savory products. And Chef Daniel has the perfect background to bring to the table here. He started out, like me, as a restaurant chef. Then he segued into his own upscale catering business before devoting his life to chocolate. So we're in for a tasty treat. Welcome, Chef Daniel.
Hi, David. Thanks for having me, and say hi to my sister and nephew.
I'll do exactly that. So, hey, let's jump right in, and we're going to start with the traditional and the not so traditional sweet confections. What is it that you're finding chocolate lovers have been looking for lately in a chocolate product?
Well, I'm finding that folks like a lot of crunchy stuff, and they like a lot of inclusions. So, um, getting away from just a plain chocolate bar is what people are looking for.
Mhm. So, and when it comes to other confections with chocolate, is there anything that they're still looking for?
Well, I think people know what they like, and they're looking for peanut butter, caramel, marshmallow. And then traditional hard inclusions such as nuts and crispy cereals. Um, yeah, so I think that's people like the classics.
Okay. And what about variety and such?
Adding a number of different things, two, three, four different things into a chocolate bar.
Wow. Okay. Now you'd mentioned nuts, and I know, we're all on board with the common ones like almonds, pecans, and cashews. Are other less mainstream nuts coming into the picture?
Um, yeah, I'd say hazelnuts and pistachios. They're coming up. I'm seeing that like in the Dubai chocolate bar phenomena going on social media. Um,
Which one?
the Dubai chocolate bar. It's got
Oh,
pistachio filling. It's
oh,
it's all the rage right now. So hazelnuts and pistachios, which are commonly European, they're getting more traction here. And then to a lesser extent, macadamia and Brazil nuts.
no, okay. Um, Now I don't see a lot of walnut chocolate combinations, and I've always found those two go well together. Why
Yeah,
aren't we?
well, yeah. That's a good question. Maybe because they're so big, maybe they look like brains. I
I mean, you can chop them up.
guess so, yeah. But walnuts and chocolate would work as well.
Yeah.
Um, Pecans,
Mhm.
that is a nut that is native to North America. So that's really popular. Pecans for sure. Um,
All right.
but
What other kinds of inclusions are trending up that you're seeing? I mean, other than nuts and the like.
I'm glad you asked. So crunchy stuff.
Yep.
Crunchy stuff's always a winner. Cereal is always a popular inclusion. Um, and then of course dried fruit. Cranberries, that's a big one. Dried cherries works. Um, and then crunchy dried bananas.
Oh yeah.
Um, to a lesser extent, dried pineapple. I don't always find pineapple to be a great match with chocolate, but some folks are doing it.
It's an interesting one. I could see it would go very well like with macadamia and pineapple, and then you get that whole, tropical, feel. But the crispy dried pineapple that sounds like it might work fairly well. So,
Very high in sugar, pineapple.
uh, Right.
So,
Well, that brings up a question. Is there anything specific that formulators need to consider when they're including nuts and dried crunchy fruits in a chocolate matrix or a chocolate-rich pastry?
yeah, I'd say nuts, especially. Um, I think nuts and nut paste are really great with chocolate. But the chocolate bloom that can occur from the nut oils is something that any chocolate manufacturer or pastry chef needs to take into account. Um, if um, if there's a lot of nut oils, that's going to lessen the amount of time the chocolate will stay in temper for, or appear shiny and beautiful. You can with excess nut oils, um, a white film can develop, and a lot of folks don't know what to do with that.
Okay, well, what do you do to avoid that happening?
That's just a very hard thing to control for us. I imagine that some of the big industrial producers might have some technology that can minimize the bloom or the reaction that chocolate will have with the nut oils, or they may have technology to control precisely how much nut oil gets in there. We don't have that. So we just temper our chocolate really well, and we temper the mixtures that contain the nut oils to create an envelope so that the nut oils cannot escape. Um, but with that said, um, certain nuts, just after a certain amount of time, we're going to see that bloom. And it
Oh,
doesn't mean the chocolate's bad. It just means that the chocolate and the nut oils have been mingling. That's all it means.
okay. So now what about the crunchy fruits and cereals that you would put in? Is there anything that we should, look out for if we're preparing a bar or a pastry or other confection with chocolate? I guess you could say to keep the crunch in the crunch.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's a good question. So about crunchy stuff, like if it's pretzels or if it's potato chips or if it's Rice Krispies, you want to make sure that there's no water content. So it wants to be mixed in with a fat-based mixture. So um, um, a a Rice Krispies or pretzels will do really well in a mixture of milk chocolate and peanut butter, because there's no water in either of those ingredients. But it
Oh,
will not do well if it's mixed into a ganache. A chocolate ganache will contain some water content. So after a short while, um, something like a pretzel or Rice Krispie will go soggy in there.
wow. So do you coat them with anything, like toss them in some kind of neutral food oil or, you know?
I don't at the moment. When it comes to pretzels, potato chips, Rice Krispies, if they are being mixed into chocolate and being mixed into nut paste, well, there already is oil in there that will coat it. And
Mhm.
there's nothing to make it go soggy.
Got
If
it.
I was going to put, like say, a pop rock on the outside to garnish the
Oh,
chocolate on the outside, I would probably coat it in cocoa butter, so as to not let the humidity get in there,
oh,
which could then make it soggy. Um, so
I love the Pop Rocks
yeah.
idea.
Yeah, so if you're putting something on the outside as a garnish,
Mm.
um, and Pop Rocks come to mind because it's very prone to humidity, I would coat it in cocoa butter. But if it's going in the middle of a fat-based mixture, I would not need to coat it in oil. That's been my experience.
Huh, good. Now you'd mentioned things, pretzels and potato chips, so that takes it to thinking about chocolate in tandem with savory flavors. Um, what can you tell us about that?
Okay, well, salt has been a big one.
Yep.
Um, like for years now, at least a decade, if not more, we've seen salted caramels around for a long time. So just sea salt
Mhm.
is now very popular with and mainstream with all sorts of confections, especially caramels. And then when it comes to savory stuff, I've been a fan of incorporating a lot of salty snacks into our confections. So potato chips, pretzels. We have a candy bar that has tortilla chips in it.
Oh, wow.
Um, I think the list can go on. Bacon, that's smoky, salty with sweet. I look at chocolate and savory from two different tracks. One is the combination of chocolate with savory inclusions, and the other is chocolate as a component in a completely savory product.
Huh.
Um, but first, there's a space in between that's also becoming increasingly popular, and that's the inclusion of not necessarily savory flavors, but the flavors that cross over from savory items. I'm talking about spices.
Ah.
Consumers have really taken to chocolates flavored with strong spices like chilies, and some have done curry spices, cardamom, etc. And they bring out some really nice qualities of chocolate.
Hmm. Okay. So then let's turn to that other track, the really savory ingredients in chocolate. You talked about potato chips, pretzels, and tortilla chips, which I found fascinating. And you were mentioning bacon. That idea of meat and chocolate has, kind of fascinated me. What other types of, of meat or similar items are you seeing in chocolate?
When it comes to meat, um, in terms of snack foods, I'd probably say the next frontier is jerky and those kind of protein snacks.
Oh wow, jerky bits in chocolate, that'd be good.
Yeah, yeah. So that's kind of the sort of similar, smoked, dried,
Yeah.
salty. Um, yeah. So, and then also maybe some salty and spicy almonds or pecans. That could be nice.
Okay. So, like smokehouse almonds.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, and then there's the classic dishes that incorporate chocolate, like Oaxacan mole.
Oh,
Um, I don't know too much about that other than what I learned in culinary school a long time ago. But just using chocolate as an ingredient, unsweetened chocolate, to create some depth. And I've seen some cocoa powder being used in some barbecue rubs. And I'm sure there's some chili competitors that probably put some cocoa powder in their chili. And then just a
really?
combination of chilies and chocolate.
Yeah, chili thing interests me because every year I'm a judge for the Dallas Kosher Chili Cook-Off, and
Oh, okay.
don't laugh, it's actually one of the biggest chili cook-offs in the country.
Really?
So, what would be your best advice then to product developers who want to branch out and try using chocolate in non-traditional formulations?
Because I think when it comes to chocolate, there will be some adventure. People will want to try um, something adventurous. Um, but at the same time, will they try it more than once? Because when folks get in the mood for chocolate, they know what they want. They want chocolate and peanut butter, and nothing's going to stop them from that.
No.
And so, if you want to have the repeat business, the advice I would follow myself: create what people want. I have seen some chocolate companies get a little too adventurous. They've done eggplant and miso with chocolate. And well, you might try that once. Will you try that twice? Maybe
Yeah.
not. So with that said, there are still some unexplored things that are a natural combination. Like I believe tortilla chips and chocolate go great. You don't see a lot of that.
I've seen
So
any of
I
it.
would say that corn quality with the chocolate and the salt go great.
Wow.
Throw in some chiles and it's fantastic.
Hmm.
But and that is just a natural combination that works. Um, and but like things like I've also studied with as I mentioned, I also studied with chocolatiers who did things with sweet potatoes and miso and eggplant and nope, don't want that again.
So it sounds like, branch out, but make sure there's enough familiar territory to,
Okay,
entice the consumer to, like you said, come back.
right. And actually I got one more. I got
Oh,
one more that's almost unexplored in North America, almost entirely unexplored, but it's an excellent ingredient that has this exotic yet familiar taste. It's called pandan from Southeast Asia.
wow.
It's this leaf, and when people taste it with chocolate, they feel like they've had it before. Uh,
Really?
yes, it's this leaf that we don't even use at all in North America. But that is a winner.
Huh. I'll have to do it's
Pandan.
here in Vietnamese and Thai cooking. Mostly Vietnamese is where I've seen it. But I never would have matched it with chocolate, but
Oh,
that's really
fantastic.
exciting actually. So,
Pandan and chocolate. When people taste it, they think they've had it before.
that's
Like, what is that? It tastes like their childhood.
huh.
Um, yeah, it's hard to.
Are you making anything with that right now?
I have in the past. I would buy it in an extract form
Mhm.
um, from a Thai market, and it's just amazing.
Oh, it's I could actually see it really pardon the pun, flowering in a chocolate ice cream confection.
Oh yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah.
Great.
So I might have
So
to so or when you come up with a non-frozen dessert, send some down. All
there
right.
you go. Yeah. Um,
So
chocolate pandan in an ice cream would be fantastic.
I'll make you a deal. Come visit us
Okay.
and we'll do that together. All right.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
So you've given us some great input, great advice, great insight, Chef Daniel. It is always fun to hang out with you, and most especially when we get the chance to talk about the creative work that you do. And I know you've got a meeting like any minute, so I
Yeah.
really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us today. I want to thank our audience for joining us. You can find information on this and other topics of importance to food and beverage product developers and manufacturers right here at preparedfoods.com. Again, I'm David Fetter, Executive Editor, Technical for Prepared Foods Network, and I'm with Chef Daniel Herskovic, owner of Mayana Chocolate. And we hope you all join us next time for some more tasty topics. So, till then.